have a problem. It seems I've got a problem with the water heater that maybe I should have done something about much sooner. In fact, instead of replacing the control board when I bought the motorhome, I should have replaced the entire water heater. Turns out that the little surface rust that I had originally seen on this, I didn't think it was much of anything at the time. Well, turns out that that was only the surface that I was seeing. Underneath that little surface rust, it was almost rotted out. In fact, it got so bad that it rusted out some metal underneath. I tried to do a patch job on it, but, well, the patch job held, but there was more rust in the frame of my water heater. And that didn't turn out so well. But I fixed the metal that was underneath here. So now it's time to replace the water heater. And, well, I was going to say not a moment too soon, but the moment has passed. Step number 1, turn off the shore water. Step 2 is to drain both the cold and the hot water lines. And also make sure that the drain plug is open to speed things up a bit. It's also very important to turn off your gas to the motorhome, the tank or the onboard tank. I've removed all of the screws on the mounting flange. Now I want to use my putty knife, metal one, to get behind here and loosen the whole thing before I do anything more. I don't want to damage the siding. There, I've got it loose now. Next step, of course, is to disconnect everything connected to the water heater. I'll start first with the propane, making sure, of course, that there's no propane in there. After I turned off the tank, I went inside and I lit the stove to see if there was any flame, and that helps draw out any other propane in the lines. So I take my 3/4 inch open end wrench, loosen it, and disconnect. Now there is a gasket back here, which is in bad shape. There's a new one with the new tank. I'll just have to clean that out and push it back in, or let it loose, whatever I do when the new one gets installed. Let's go with the electrical connections. We've got a blue wire, a white wire, and a black wire. The problem is they don't exactly match up with the original colors. The blue goes to blue, which is fine. And we've got the white, which connects to the green wire. And then we got the black wire that goes to the brown wire. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to cut the wires on the water heater side so that I can match up the colors with the new water heater. So as you can see, I can match the blue with the blue, the white with the green, that's green really, and the black with the brown. This next step is a little bit tricky, and that is disconnecting the water lines from the water heater. This top one is fairly easy to get to, but the one at the bottom is a little tricky. The button on the bottom is the cold water inlet. The one on the top is the hot water outlet. But we take our pipe wrench and we just try to loosen it. Go the right way. Making sure not to damage the plastic piping. At this point, it's all loose. It's all disconnected inside, so we just have to essentially just slide it out. And dispose of it properly. All I have to do is do a little cleanup around the outside and I'll be ready for the install. The new water heater needs a little prep first. I replaced the bypass here so that in case I ever do a winter thing, I can shut off the water heater and put antifreeze in the line. Also, the old water heater had a 90-degree on the top and bottom, so I took those off and replaced them, and of course I used some pipe thread tape to do it. Made sure that it was pointing in the correct direction. When the water heater is shipped, the mounting flanges are left flat, but we need to bend them up 90 degrees. So I'm going to use my pliers to do that. And I'll do that on all four sides. They don't need to be a perfect 90 degrees here, because when I screw this into the wall, it'll straighten out. But that's close enough for now. However, we have to seal this from weather. So in order to seal this against, the elements, the rain or snow if necessary, I got myself it's called a universal vent installation kit, but it's also good for water heaters. It comes with a big roll of butyl tape and some screws that I can use. So I'm going to take my roll of butyl tape here. It's got paper on one side and exposed butyl tape on the other. And I'm going to push it up against here, against the sidewall here. And cut it off about here. Traffic. Now you may be wondering why I didn't extend this all the way to the side. Well, I want this to be waterproof so that when I put the side tapes on here, the seal will be down here and not under here, and it won't be bulging. So I do my sides. Again, I don't want to go all the way up. Very important to press it against, as you see. Cut it down here at the very bottom. And I'll do the others. Now on some siding, the texture can get a little deep. Mine isn't quite as deep, but if it was, I would take extra pieces of this and build this up in the little channels here. So all we have to do now is to remove the paper tape, because we don't want the paper tape interfering with the seal. And we have all the tape off. Now what I like to do is I like to work the corners, sort of push the tape together to seal off any seams. And if you've ever worked with clay in school, this is very familiar. Secure in there. And now it's ready for installation. Now that I have it set in the opening, I'm not going to tighten this down. I'm first going to hook up things before I do anything else, because I need it loose to connect the water lines and such. I've got all the screws installed and the door installed, which is my old door, which fits. So the next step is to turn on the gas and check for leaks. I've got a little bottle here of dishwashing liquid and water, and I just spray it on the propane input. Look for bubbles. Well, no bubbles at all. I must have done this right. And since this is a flared connector, I don't have to put any tape on it at all. Now that the propane is already checked out, it's time to do the water. So we'll close our drain valves and we'll turn on our water and we'll check our connections for leaks. We're going to have to turn on our hot water to get the air going out of the system and get the water tank filled. So I'll be waiting here, waiting for the water to finally come out and the air to end. Well, there's no more air coming out, pretty much, and there's just water. That means the hot water tank is full and ready to go. I just have to check my connections, make sure there's no water leak. And, well, actually, there's one more thing I need to do. What I need to do is, I need to loosen the screw here on the pipe going into the furnace, and I need to power the water heater on, and I need to adjust this for the air to make sure I got a nice clean blue flame. I just need to slide this back and forth. All this, when it's all this way, it's kind of a yellow reddish flame. But I just need to pull it forward enough so that it goes nice and blue. Without too much noise. I just tighten it down and that's it. And I'm done. It's just that simple.